Look, dude, I've had really bad travels lately,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and I had to make a playlist of songs that would just get me in a good mood, and that was one of them. That's
Now,
on the playlist.
Why don't you just look at a photo of me? Like, I don't understand why
Because
you need
sometimes
music.
Yeah, that's true. Music talks to my soul. You talk to my nether regions.
What does that mean?
That means like music will cheer up my soul, and you'll cheer up my third leg.
You know what I'm feeling right here? I'm feeling a lot of BDE, and we won't even define what that means. We'll just say BDE.
I got the
I don't want you.
SDE.
Okay. I like how you started. I got the SDE.
SDE.
Yeah, I got dick, man. Okay. Well, guess what? Reunited, and it feels so good.
Hooga
We're finally
shaka.
back in person after almost now. It's going to be 3 months. The Mama's Boys podcast, the best, worst podcast in the world in the history of histories. The podcast you didn't know that you needed. We're here today to give you an auditory experience unlike anything else.
Oral?
I said auditory.
Is there another word for oral? We had this conversation. I forgot it again. Oral.
Oral.
Right?
AURAL.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
then
you're talking about.
ORAL is my mouth.
Yes, exactly. I see what you're thinking right now.
But I'm thinking oral.
We're increasing the quality, and this makes sense. We're staying in I'm going to call it Dude Mansion. Okay,
No, this is the On It Dude Mansion, though.
the On It Dude Mansion, and they used to make not them, but the place where they manufacture their stuff. It used to be Fleshlights. So
Similar location.
it all similar career path.
Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate all our sponsors out there. Kaizen Training. If you want to get ripped, shredded,
absolutely shredded.
veins on veins on veins, or you
Veins
just
on
want to lose a
gains.
little bit of weight, make a little bit of strength gains, we got you covered.
Make your wife love you again,
KaizenTraining.com. If you want a lover, if you want to find a girlfriend, boyfriend, partner,
Something in between.
companion,
Yeah.
dog friend, they
Yeah.
like muscles too. Check it out, KaizenTraining.com. Be sure to check it out.
Bro, why do you got to say that? Now I got to go on this whole fucking story because you just said dog companion.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw. Did you see what happened on my Instagram?
Yeah, Tito. Bro, I keep up.
I'm
with your
going to get
life.
emotional here.
What happened to, why didn't you just keep them? Look, first let's just give a
Okay,
big shout
let's
out
give
to
the story.
Let's give
Shout
a
out
big
to
shout
Tito.
out to On It.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bringing us down here. We're in Austin, Texas, and we're literally on a mission. Have you seen
Blues Brothers, a mission from God. That's what you have to say.
I was thinking the Holy Grail,
Oh, Monty Python?
and we're looking for a fleshlight.
No.
We're looking for the history of the fleshlight. We're going to have some dope interviews
Yeah.
coming out. Be sure to subscribe. Check it out on iTunes. Give us a rating and review. And we're going to hunt down the fleshlight. But first, we have to talk about the sad story of Tito.
Tito Bandito.
Why couldn't it be T-I-D-O?
So first, Tito.
Yeah.
Tito! Well, it was more, Chris Tucker had that joke about Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And
Where
Jackie Chan.
he's like, yo, Tito. He's like, where he says that stuff. So I was going to say before we go on, that documentary on the Fleshlight will be Vice quality, like Vice News.
Yeah.
It's
Next
going to be
level.
amazing. Yeah, it'll be
Big budget.
Oscar worthy. But what I was going to say is, I got to set up the story now because I'm getting emotional. Okay.
There's tissues over here.
Where do I begin? So I was
Why'd you
making
bark
moves.
at
I was
us?
at the I was at the gym that I love, Fortis Fitness, where I've been going for a lot of years. I was there with a friend of mine. We had some really good news. We wanted to celebrate something, so we go to leave the gym. This is a Sunday. It's approximately 8 p.m. And as we leave, I do believe in signs, Mike. I don't know about you. Not fate necessarily, but I do
Destiny?
believe there are some things, some indications, and if you want, you can pursue them. It's up to us to make those choices, but I do believe there are certain signs. Such a sign, I will go into that at another point, is I saw a fox during a very important part of my life. A fox in the city of Toronto.
In the city.
Randomly.
And what did that tell you?
Randomly. Oh, I mean, that's another story. Let's get back to Tito Bandito.
I'm missing three stories now.
So Tito, it's 8 o'clock. We're leaving. And Fortis, the gym, it's like in this big plaza. It's very industrial. It's in the southern tip of Toronto. And all of a sudden, we see this. He looks like a fucking watermelon, okay? He's like a half Chihuahua, half watermelon. Just picture
pug
that.
maybe or something. There's something. Or beagle.
Beagle
maybe.
He's Thack. Like there's
Yeah.
thick and then there's Thack. My boy Tito's Thack. So anyways, we see him. We see this dog randomly in the parking lot. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like whatever. An owner's around. Like obviously it's just like a no collar. Like whatever. It's Toronto. Cool. And then this dog goes towards the dumpster and we wait like a minute and there's no one around. Like it's, Sunday at 8 o'clock. Gym's empty. No one's in this parking lot, this big parking
You
lot.
saw a collar or no collar?
No collar.
Oh, poor guy.
And so my boy, shout out to Lee Biceps as I call him because he has fantastic biceps. And if he ever wanted to do flex shows, he'd have a lucrative career. Yeah. So what I was going to say is Lee sees and he's like, you know what, man? He doesn't have an owner. Tries to call him over. And little Tito takes a look at us and then starts moving away. And we're like, whoa, wait. And just so you guys know, again, Fortis industrial area, it's kind of near a highway. And so the only exit is towards the highway. And so we try and call him over. no go. He runs into fucking traffic. Now he can't run because he, again, picture a Chihuahua mixed with a watermelon, and that's Tito. Okay, he's got a lot of love to give, and so he runs across the street, and we chase after him. And this dog actually, for how fat he is
moving.
He can move. So we're sprinting after
Little
him.
dogs are deceptively quick. They're deceptively quick.
And so we're trying to call after him. He darts back the other way across the highway again. And so myself and Lee, we finally get him into a corner near a building after like 10 minutes. Poor little guy takes a poop and he's just looking at us.
He shit himself. And you scared him?
No. Like he comfortably shit himself. Like he's looking right at us. Like he's like, yeah, I'm done with running. It's like you want. And so Lee picks him up, and after we picked him up, his expression immediately changed from like, I don't know who you guys are, to like, where are we going? And he became the most joyful dog I've almost ever encountered. We brought him into Lee's car. We're trying to call all over, animal clinics. Hey, can you just take this dog? Like, Lee lives in Kitchener, which is an hour and a half away.
Do you guys have the like dog chips up there? Like
microchips, right? Yeah, so we do, but there's no places open because this is now Sunday at 9:30. And so we had places to be again. We want to celebrate. So we're like, Tito, let's try and get you to your owner. We called 10 places, Mike. No place is open. So now we have this dog who we don't know who this dog is, where he's from. All I know is that he is loving life, smiling the whole time, silent, obedient, and just looking like the good boy that he is.
What about an outside bar to celebrate with Tito? 2 birds, 1 stone.
I'm going to be honest. I did.
Yeah, what else you do? You can't leave him.
You know me. I don't necessarily follow rules. And so I was considering bringing Tito into like, there's a bunch of bars that have, patios. And I'm like, Tito's just going to chill with us like on the patio. Like, what's the big deal?
What do you weigh? 20 pounds?
Yeah, he's probably like 16, 17 pounds
no one
of love.
I feel like bigger cities like that, LA, even here in Austin, I've seen it. Airports. Yeah. We were walking through the plane yesterday, and a lady has like probably a 20-pound Chihuahua mix, and it's just sitting on a chair. Yeah. It's just how it goes nowadays.
So we bonded spiritually with Tito. Yeah. Already in my head, I'm thinking like, you know what? If Tito, like, we're doing the numbers. I'm like, look at his nails, man. Like his nails are too long. Like he definitely has been on the run for a little bit, at least a few days, which means that either he escaped or like a dog like that, a little Chihuahua that looks like a watermelon doesn't just escape. Like a husky, you open the door, it'll bolt. A Chihuahua wants its fucking food, right?
Yeah, I even feel all those kinds of dogs can't really survive in a city.
No, and so
you're going to get hit by something or someone else will snag you.
And that's what we're thinking. We're like, he's a little dirty. He has no collar. Like, what's his story? Like maybe he has an abusive owner and then he just somehow escaped and now he's living his best life. So to make a long story short, we take him to my friend's place. We feed him peanut butter. He curls right up next to me. Like if he's,
the peanut butter thing, right?
What? The what?
Peanut butter like thing with dogs.
You don't do it?
No. They can eat it, but it's like a joke. Well, you like put it on your third leg, and then they like,
Way to derail a
love
beautiful
story. I know, but I feel like we just turned it to a rom-com. It was just like a romance headed towards drama because Tito probably dies at the end.
You talk about Tito.
I feel like he dies at the end of the story.
Tito Bandito.
How old do you think he was?
I found out after he's 9.
Yeah, poor old guy.
So what I was going to say, I'm trying to not have this fucker bond to me because I'm trying not to attach feelings because I feel eventually he's the owner. We're going to microchip him. And
better not hang out with the mama's boys. You're going to catch some feels.
And this is what happens. And so he curls up next to me, this dumb dog, and he's just like looking right up at me like, hey, what's up? Like, what's next? Like, I'm just loving life. Like, I'm going to be quiet, not going to, doesn't bark, eats the peanut butter. Then after the peanut butter, which I feel bad for because clearly he had not eaten in a long time, he was so hyped up,
shit himself again.
He took a nap.
Oh,
and so we finally found one place, animal control. Took them 2 hours. So this is now like a 6-hour journey. It's midnight on a Sunday. They come, they check out if he has a microchip. He does. And the owner has been looking for him. So we had to give him up. And I know a lot of people I post on Instagram and everyone's like, Tito's the fucking man. You should have kept him.
Yeah, you can't.
But you can't keep another person's dog. But damn, you mentioned Tito. That brought back a whole bunch of emotions.
Yeah, little dogs are cool. I've had big dogs, little dogs. But little dogs they actually seem dumber.
It's hard to say. So there's another dog that I know. And that dog's smart, man. That dog will tilt its head when you're talking to him.
Yeah, but that's probably because they're confused.
Oh, no. He's trying to understand.
Yeah, big dogs, I feel like they get humans. The bigger the dog, they're starting to understand humans. More wolf mentality rather than the other ones are more like a rat mentality. Even though people say rats are smart, I don't believe that bullshit.
That little dog that I'm talking about, by the way, Prince, my ex-girlfriend's dog that I got for her. Let me just say that Prince has some BDE.
Yeah, can you just define it for him now?
BDE, so I'll finally reveal Easter egg.
Give the what it stands for, and
so
then,
BDE
and then describe
stands for Big Dick Energy. And so that just is your overall aura. So we talked about oral. Now that's aura, presence that someone has. I don't know. The kids say it, but we just started joking about it. And so it's your overall presence. And so I assume BDE would be associated with being alpha.
Confidence.
Dominant, confident, all those different adjectives.
What if you have a little D with
Mike,
BDE?
you can be BDE in spirit. I'm here for you, bro.
Despite my circumstances.
Yeah, you are not defined by your circumstance. Let me tell you a quick story.
Tell me.
Django Reinhardt. Anyone that plays guitar, knows anything about music that's worth a damn, knows Django. Django was a phenomenal...
We're not talking Jamie Foxx.
Guitar player. Hell no. But he only had on his guitar hand that he played, I think, 3 fingers. And so he was missing 2 whole fingers. And you think guitar, like you need all your fingers to play.
At least 4 of them.
Dude. He made it work.
And he ripped
it.
So
I'm just saying, he is absolutely one of the greatest guitarists of all time.
And
no question.
BDE. BDE.
So you could be BDE.
But I don't get it. So he had 3 fingers and a huge wang. So he had BDE.
No, we don't know if he had BDE.
I have 5 fingers and a small wang. How do I be BDE?
Mindset. So that's what Little Prince had. Prince, before he got neutered, he had the biggest balls I've seen on a small dog ever. Those balls, so when he'd walk, from behind, you could see them, and they almost look like they're dragging on the ground. He was just getting it.
But then there's issues. You start to go from BDE.
That's my boy.
Which sounds like a okay thing if you have it under control and you have some humbleness about you. But then you start to creep in Napoleon.
But that's little guy syndrome. That's different.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But with the mentality,
you mean compensating?
Maybe not even compensating. Yeah, if you have BDE, but you got a little wee, and then you're going full Napoleon. It's a fine line. It is obviously a spectrum, but you don't want to be.
Spectrums are probably one of our favorite topics on this podcast.
Everything's a spectrum.
Everything's a spectrum.
Because you start to think of the world right now, especially, which we're going to dig into. It's too black and white.
Cue the Michael Jackson song. I know you want to. I know you did in your head that your guitar.
Ooga, ooga.
And that's
sorry. Dude, I forgot what was happening, but Michael Jackson randomly came on rather than me putting it on.
Okay.
That's the best thing ever.
That's
unexpected. That's what's missed from the radio. People talk shit on the radio.
In life right now, Mike. Hold on. Spontaneity. Spontaneity
tell the people
is what makes life, I would say, in large part. I don't want to say worth living, but something that's exciting because the unexpected, if you go on an adventure, think about 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, where the whole world wasn't
walking through Mordor.
So you don't know where you're going. You're little Bilbo Baggins. You're young Frodo. You're trying to take this. You're Samwise Gamgee trying to take the ring to Mordor.
The secret hero.
To save humanity, elves, dwarves,
we don't know what's coming.
Alike.
We just know that eye in the sky, but we don't know what's on our path there.
You don't know what's going to happen day to day. Now everything's too regimented. You have work. You have to go in a specific time. You have to wake up at a specific time. You meet someone. Well, I'm going to text them. Well, I'll tell you I'm going to be 5 minutes away. No longer will say.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? I'm going to text you in 5.
Oh.
Or I'm going to call you in 5. If I text you, then I'm going to call you in 5. Why wouldn't I just call you in 5? First off, I do hate phone calls. I
love spontaneity.
I don't do phone calls. Look, I don't do it. I'm a text guy. I'm an email guy. Pure business.
That's some SDE right there.
Yeah, SDE alpha. All right. I'm an email guy when we're talking business. I'm a text guy when we're talking casual or just a note. But when someone says, I'm gonna call you, you text me, I'm going to call you in 5.
Hey,
I just feel the whole thing went out the door.
I'm going to tell you this. So I am a confrontational person because I do.
I'm not. That's
I thrive in chaos.
We're yin and yang.
We are kind of yin and yang. That's
chaos and destruction.
This is a tangent, and we'll go on.
We'll go back to black and white later.
That's what I was going to say. Is Jordan Peterson, where his 12 Rules book, where it's called what is it? An antidote to chaos. I'm like, bruh, that's where you're wrong. Chaos is where I thrive. Chaos is where all the magic and creativity happens.
I think he's in there too. He thinks that chaos is obviously necessary, and I think a lot of people understand.
I've read a synopsis. Like, I'm not trying to insult the guy. I heard some things. I do like some of his discussions with regards to literature. I am actually one of those people, once again, because he's been around on TVO for a long time. He had lectures online, I think, before the whole big scandal. I like some of his lectures when it comes to literature. Some things I agree with, some things I disagree with. As soon as I found out that he tried to brag that he bench pressed 225, however, I'm like, bruh. He's like, I used to lift back in the day and I benched 225. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah. Drake's out there deadlifting 315, bent back.
I thought you were being all tough and shit. 225. I can't even look at you in the eyes anymore, bro.
Doesn't matter if you're black or white.
But that's what I was going to say is chaos, spontaneity, all these things, I think it's missing. Now, I think spontaneity is missing in general.
Yeah.
And I think it's just something that people... They try and, let's say, format, much like a memory card here, individuals to conform a certain way. And so being original, being creative is a lost art.
I do think there is a balance in every human that we need to find of some kind of creativity, which can be very productive and forces you to grow of some nature, right? But also routine allows us to be comfortable and thrive in that. We obviously thrive through some type of routine. That's why we're going to school 3 to 8, or
that's why we dropped out of school.
8 to 3. I don't even know. Yeah, I can't even read. But there's some gifts that do happen within routine, right? Yeah. Getting into a flow state. Yes. If you have a routine to put your knee sleeves on and then your shoes, and then your workout's going to be better.
I'm with you.
Coffee, read a book, and then you do your best writing or your best art or whatever. So there is some in that, but I do agree. A majority of people are a little too stuck in it. You and I, because our life is a little chaotic, right? Because we set our own schedules. Structure's good. But then for these structured folks, which are the normies, we call them the normies. For all you normies listening right now at your desk job, go be a little more spontaneous.
And that's what I was going to say, actually. I think for some people it can really work. It depends on what style or what type of person you are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an example. I'm going to shout out my brother right here, where he gets up at 5 a.m., no alarm clock, just gets up, does his thing. He's a musician. He's exceptionally talented. The best musician that I know. But recently, he wanted to lose weight. And like for him, a lot of people go through the motions like, I want to lose like 20 pounds. I can't. He hadn't been training for a while. And so he's actually the first person that got me into lifting. And so he's 5'7", and he was about 162 pounds after lifting back again for 6 months. Not solid. So like just picture someone like, kind of soft. Like he's definitely 20% body fat. He does not have abs. He's like, hey, man, so what I need to do when it comes to losing weight and getting abs, I'll do everything that you tell me. I just want to feel healthier, be more athletic, all those things. What do I need to do? I said, hey, so here are your macros. Let's have you track calories. Let's have you have this training routine 5 times a week. Without fail, the man stuck with it. Within 17 weeks, Mike, he went from 162 to 135 pounds. He is shredded. He's so shredded, he shaves his head. You can see his skull. He's on it. So like for some people, absolutely.
That's just how they go.
And I think self-discipline, and I guess that's what I'm saying to bring it full circle. And we both would agree with this, is that structure is important. Self-impose as opposed to being told. And so for him, he'll wake up at 5 a.m. It's not a question of if, and so that's for people out there to develop self-discipline.
It's hard.
That's huge.
It's hard. And that's literally why you and I just talked the other day, is why I started reading again, because like
I love it, Mike.
Yeah,
I'm such a big fan.
I'm into it. I mean, I'm not into it, but I'm into it because my whole life I feel like I've been in some type of leadership role, whether it's coaching or captain of the basketball team or whatever it might be. And you're what I was always taught. Some people may disagree. I don't know what the kids are doing nowadays. Is you always lead from the front. You lead by example. You lead from the front. And so in the industry we're in, podcasting, talking to new people, talking to different people, talking about videos, newer concepts, different concepts, looking at both sides of the wheel. I just hadn't grown myself in a while, right? Like, sure, I train every day. I've been doing it for 15 years. It's easy for me, right? And sure, I put out 4 videos on YouTube. You put out, we're used to those things. We have 2 podcasts a week. I'm used to those things. I'm in that. But what am I doing to reach on beyond and like test myself? So I was like, well, what do I hate most in life?
I highly respect, because we had conversations in Toronto.
I hate reading.
I think it is proven reading actually restructures the way that you regard information, how you process things. And the experience, and that's why when they say the medium is the message, or there are different ways of learning in general, I will absolutely say that. But I do think reading, it helps, even if you have, and I know you spoke about before, is it ADD, Mike?
You said? I'm not diagnosed with shit, but I'm fucked.
But your attention span sometimes is hard. And especially with the social media generation where you have that instant gratification of having notifications all the time. I think the process of zoning out and focusing on one thing and then internally processing it. So you read something, you think about it. So you're not just reading like word by word. While you're reading it, you're thinking about these concepts, right? And then eventually, I know you're reading nonfiction now, but then when you read fiction, that's partially why I like comic books, and that's a whole other story, is movies are amazing because they give you the visual. With a book, you create everything. And so if you like having an imagination, you like thinking about things, creating worlds, it's a world outside of anything else you would normally experience, and it opens up doors.
Yeah, my mind's already going too much, and that's my issue. Like, to sit down and focus on some letters for a while is really hard, and so that focus is good.
It'll be easier. Like, it becomes easier, bro.
I don't know, because I mean, I've obviously went to college. I read my whole life, and it never got easier because my head just doesn't work that way. And
what about flow state though, Mike? We talked about that.
Yeah, just like, I can't in a reading. I think I've been in true flow. Like, people talk about flow, like they talk about online coaching and selling businesses nowadays, but like, I've been in true flow in basketball, and I think to be in true flow, like, you have to be an utter expert and utter routine of what you're doing. The only time I heard that basketball, where like I literally felt like Neo in the Matrix sometimes. But like reading, sure you can get people like, I get caught up in a book. I was like, I understand the same way as getting caught up in a TV show. You're into it. You don't want to put it down. I get it. But my brain, our boy Jon Stewart, the power lifter, said something on Twitter today about his ADD. And he said something like his ADD when he's trying to sit down and like, I think he was referring to writing, is like a bunch of bingo balls that just were let on the ground and he's trying to catch them all. They're fucking bouncing. I was like, bro, that's the best analogy. Because I'm sitting here trying to focus in on this and my brain's second like, what's for lunch? What'd you do? What's this business doing? What's the podcast doing? And
some of that, do you think also, Mike, anxieties we talked about?
Yeah, I think it's all so tied in, just my brain.
To not go too deep, and we maybe spoke about this before. I don't mean, any hippy dippy bullshit, but have you tried meditation?
Yeah. So that was my goals to myself to set is work out first thing in the morning, even before I eat. I started working out and I'm doing a bunch of cardio. So that kind of helps my brain chill out a little bit rather than waiting to work out. And then 2, I'm going to try meditation. My living situation's whatever. I put a bid in on a house. So hopefully, cross the fingers podcast, we're moving. And once we move, I'll have more space and brain power to meditate. But I started the 2 habits now, working out every day first thing.
I think it's excellent.
And reading. So we'll see.
No, I think it's excellent. We'll say for you taking upon something that for yourself, it's hard for you to do because you told me that, like you've told me this several times. I think it's excellent.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it'll only reward you.
Yeah, it can't be bad. That's why I'm doing it because it can't be bad.
But let's talk about the hot topics, Mike. Okay,
because nothing's possible unless you sacrifice for something. The memes are going wild. The internet's wild.
We do want to talk because this podcast is going to be contemporary. A lot of times we release a podcast and, the podcast comes out and it's already been 4 weeks. This one we can talk about. We want to talk about right now just Colin Kaepernick and Nike. Mike, do you want to set it up for us?
Yeah. So for those that it's been about a year, maybe 2-year controversy going on where Colin Kaepernick, quarterback who was highly successful in his first season for the 49ers, led them to a Super Bowl, had begun to kneel during the national anthem at every game.
Protest.
And from his words, and many others in the NFL began to do it, and even other sports, full teams began to do it. And from his aspect, he just wanted to bring attention to mostly the police violence in the African American communities that are going around in America, the shootings, the public shootings. He just wanted to bring attention to that. Opposite side of what we have going on is many people feel that is disrespectful to the national anthem, which is something that we do before every sports game to obviously kind of stay united and things like that. And maybe by kneeling, you're disrespecting that or not being
people
united.
People then brought up troops, like disrespecting the troops.
Yeah, just like not being united with everybody else, which is the point of that before we go into, competitive mode against the other team. And to be honest, I see both sides. And the third side, which is almost a different conversation, is, and this is something I think about a lot, and you probably do too, is when do you use your platform and when do you not use your platform to push whatever it is you feel like, right? And so, you and I have this podcast where we can talk about whatever we want, and we still don't really have an agenda to push, even though we may be a little bit more open with our opinions here, rather than, we have a fitness YouTube or a fitness Instagram, or you're a football player, you're a basketball player, or even the opposite, you're a politician. If you're a politician, is it your time to start talking about, what cars you like or what food you like? Opposite, do you use your platform for what your platform is and what you built it on, or do you consider yourself blessed for building that platform and then use it how you believe is right?
Yeah. And then set us up, Mike, finally, before we begin talking. So that's what happened, a few years ago. And then what's going on with Nike?
The last 2 years. And then I believe it's the 30th, some kind of 30th anniversary of Nike. And they're dropped a kind of a billboard picture graphic. And it's Kaepernick looking pretty stern or stoic away. And don't quote me, I already missed it. But it says, if you don't sacrifice everything for what you believe in, something of that nature. Let me look
Connor,
it up.
get us the quote. Yeah, so as I understand it, Colin Kaepernick is going to be one of the leading faces of Nike's big 30th anniversary campaign. And so, as a quote,
believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. And it's Kaepernick looking very serious. And it says Nike just do a campaign, 30-year anniversary.
And now this has become a heavily divisive topic because some people are definitely supporting Colin. Other people are thrown in a fit of rage. Their Nike shoes, burning them. There's a whole bunch of protests.
Yeah.
And
it's a passionate topic, and I get it. I get why.
Before I share my opinion, I guess I just say, you brittle motherfuckers. Like, if that triggers you that much, I think because a certain portion of the people that are burning their gear and whatnot, they are probably the people that are likely to call someone a snowflake or an SJW, a social justice warrior. So they're people that you probably identify more on the conservative side. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they are appalled that Colin Kaepernick, who they view as someone that's not good, is getting the limelight by Nike. But if you're that perturbed by someone being signed as an athlete, I just think you're super brittle. Because here's what I mean when I say that. I think free speech is absolutely important. Now, the NFL is a private institution, much like YouTube. What you're vocal about, trying to defend a certain type of free speech, I think indicates where your mindset is. So recently, Alex Jones, without going into details, Alex Jones has something called InfoWars. He was on YouTube. He was on Facebook. They removed his channel. They deleted it completely. And there was so much of an outcry. And now this is someone that is controversial because he's made claims about Sandy Hook victims that have then come to bite those victims in the ass. Sandy Hook, where there was a lot of people murdered. Some parents were harassed by people because he claimed there's some a falseness to the story. And so they were harassed. And so big implications, but people threw a big rah-rah like, but my freedom of speech, what's going on? I think if you want Alex Jones, for those that support, Alex Jones want him back. If you support Alex Jones, think that was an infringement on freedom of speech, then Colin Kaepernick, by the same token, at the very least, should have had the right to protest at the NFL because YouTube is a private platform. NFL is the same thing. And so I think for some people, the concept of being morally consistent doesn't resonate with them, where they could be outraged by something.
Just play devil's advocate. I'm not sure about Facebook's.
Let's bounce. I'm ready to bounce all over.
Facebook probably has a TOS of some nature. And if Alex Jones crossed that TOS, they have the right to take it down. Where the NFL, because this is something they keep bringing up, that it's not in their rule book for anything that you have to do.
There's no specific rule.
That you have to do anything for the national anthem. You don't even have to be there. You don't even have to be on the field.
Mike,
So in that sense, Kaepernick pretty much does have free reign.
I don't think
where it gets hairy though is that these NFL things are being shown on different news networks, which whether I don't even think it's set in stone, but obviously different news networks have different belief systems and they fall different on the spectrum of politics. And so then that gets even hairier, right? Like is Fox News going to be less likely to show a Niners game because of Kaepernick? And then, then the Niners are going to lose out on money.
They're protecting their own interests. They don't want to, make no mistake, there is no morals that we're truly talking about here. These are big businesses, big corporations that are have financial incentives. And so they were scared with Colin that it's going to turn an X number of people out. They don't care about the moral issue that maybe he might be bringing up. And honestly speaking, as an outsider, because I'm Canadian, when I first saw it where he bent his knee, I'm like, this is like a really respectful protest. Like if you wanted to be quote unquote disrespectful, you could turn your back to it. You could do a bunch of different things. And I just think it's interesting where, as I understand it, the original national anthem, American, actually has a whole verse about kind of slaves or like a few different things. I could be wrong. Connor, fact check me on that real quick. Original national anthem. US, just confirm for me.
I did hear a story about the first time the national anthem was ever sung out of sports. It was in 1900 whatever, and I think it was during maybe even.
So what I was going to say, Mike, is that also that when people talk about the founding fathers, I'm like, when they first started with the rights, like women couldn't vote, minorities couldn't vote, only landowners could vote. So it wasn't a true democracy in the sense. So when we take a look at the evolution and people trying to bring attention to certain issues, using that platform, am I personally bothered by someone trying to raise awareness? What is the potential net negative from the situation? Then what's the potential net positive? I don't personally care. If you want to talk about the hypocrisy of a place like Nike, and that's what, to me, I thought was most hilarious, is all these people burning their Nike stuff. I'm like, really, dog? Really? It's like, you see the deplorable conditions that Nike has put their workers through, child labor laws, where there's sweatshops, people being paid terrible wages that aren't ethical wages for their country, a whole bunch of different potential issues. And what you choose to be upset at Nike is that Colin Kaepernick is now an athlete. Like, man, you're brittle. Like, that's the only thing I could say. If you're that bothered, I can't be bothered that much by anything. I've been called so many crazy things online. Nothing has bothered me whatsoever. Someone being announced as an athlete for a campaign that tried to stand up for something that he believed in, whether you disagree with it or not. I think it also hit me back, Connor.
It talks about hiring slaves.
Yeah, it talks about the original verse. So I'm like, guys, like let's look up a little bit of history right now, of what's going on. And so I think raising some awareness that he wanted to for a social issue, is that the right place? It's like, I am someone that's a huge proponent of freedom of speech. It gets complicated because it's the NFL. It's not like he's in a public place. So I understand there are many different parameters when discussing this issue, but it's like, you're not even saying anything that crazy. Like, I thought if you were to interrupt the game or something, like I think just, the main issue, from an outsider, Mike, like I don't see the big deal.
The main issue is like everything else is people they're talking to each other, but having different conversations, right? Like one side's talking about disrespect to the country and disrespect to our military and disrespect to the national anthem. And the other side is literally trying to bring up awareness of something totally opposite of that conversation, rather than everyone just chilling out and not letting their emotions. Don't let your political thoughts. Don't let anything become so.
Let's all just love each other.
Just don't let it become religion or ingrained in you that hard. Nothing.
What you're talking about?
Yeah, you can't, because you can't go into that with a calm, cool head to even try to understand the other side, and that's the issue with everything. People on one side are only listening to. A dude blew up at me in the gym, and I didn't even say a word. I literally put in this is 9 months ago, last football season. I'm just in the gym on a Sunday getting a pump or whatever.
Oh, did you try and say something?
No, I didn't say a thing. The conversation just came up between 3 guys, and one guy's going off. He's like, I haven't watched the NFL in 6 months, and Colin Kaepernick. And I was like, I didn't say it. I was like, yeah. I just sat there because I'm kind of like you, libertarian, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I'm going to deal with things on my own. Do I think what's happening with the police brutality and things? Yeah, I think it's absolutely insane and not good. But I'm going to deal with whatever's happening out in this world, and I'm going to deal with it on my own. That's just kind of, I adjust and I work around things.
Yeah, I'll say, like, I don't like the duopoly of how it exists in America, where there's only 2 parties. I'm like, come on, man. You need to fit everyone into a neat category of 2 different parties. I'm not a fan of that. But what I was going to say is I think the future always belongs to the radical. And what I mean is the person that's breaking from the norm to raise potential issues. And now this is a whole different conversation, but things are normalized over time. And what I mean is you have your dog, Cassius, named after Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali did a peaceful protest where he decided he was supposed to go to Vietnam. He decided he did not want to go. He went to jail for that. Now history has looked back at that.
But do you know whose campaign he was on and no one cares?
What do you mean?
Oh, he was the face of an Adidas campaigin recently and back then. So,
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
But I mean,
20 years from now.
So, Mike, that's what's amazing. The people, it's like, I think taking guts and taking a stand in a lot of places, I always respect it, just because I know the unpopular opinion, because there is groupthink, there's the mob mentality. Oh, these people think a certain way, I must think that. And again, to be radical means to break from the norm. And that's what Rascal Schism, the clothing company that I started, it means to separate from, schism from. And so the idea behind it, Muhammad Ali, when he came out, when he changed his name, converted to Islam, when he decided to protest the war by not going and fighting, because he's like, these guys didn't do anything to me, he went to jail. There was so much backlash at the time. I would say if you were to poll America as a whole, the majority hated him. And now he's revered as a hero.
Yeah.
Is something similar going to happen?
Yeah,
I don't know when it comes to this. And again, was this the right way of bringing about attention to these issues? A counterpoint to that would be, well, then when should someone bring attention to?
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting how people get morally outraged by certain things, but not others. Or, again, someone brought up this point. It's like some of the people that are outraged that Alex Jones got deleted from YouTube at the same time think that Colin Kaepernick shouldn't have the right to protest at the game. I'm like, well, you can't have it both ways.
Well, and people say that in a way he did. People say that coaches and organizations didn't want that mess and he didn't get signed again.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. He's been blacklisted. Like that is a fact. It's not due to his ability, right? It's actually due to his voice. And so,
I mean, it's hard to say fact because he didn't play as well in the following season. But it's hard to hard idea to ignore. Yeah.
I don't know football well enough to judge. What I've heard is that at least he can be second string. Starting quarterback, questionable. But
he should probably have a contract.
So it's like, what type of message does that send that if you try and raise a voice or have an opinion about something that might be an unpopular opinion, that you just let go?
Yeah,
that's a way of silencing individuals. That then becomes dangerous. I think
a lot of players start to follow up and do the kneeling as well on multiple teams across the league. And I've heard some interviews from them on ESPN or the otherwise. And my issue is, and this is like my own issue. This isn't my issue with what's going on. This is my own inner issue. Is like, yes, I think you should do whatever you want and whatever you think is right, as long as it's not hurting anybody else, and you should bring up attention to these things. But for me, I'm not going to bring attention to something, whether it's on my social media channels or whatever I've built up, unless I have an answer. And that's maybe just how my head works. Because then not and I'm not saying this about Kaepernick by any means, but for me to do something like that, then I just feel like a whiner. Like, oh, I don't like this. Let's look at this. Okay, well, that's great. But that's just another issue with our politics in general in the United States right now, is everyone's pointing out issues and everyone's pointing out the problem with that side and this person and that person, but no one has a fucking answer to solve it. And obviously it's not that easy to solve, police crime on African Americans in America. Like that's a fucking huge conversation and impossible to do because we have so many individuals and it's about the individual in the conversation. But for me, as a whatever kind of influence I have on a podcast, YouTube, etc., it's hard for me to want to speak out and use my platform for those things unless I had a direct answer. Like, hey, I see this is fucked up and I think this would fix it. We need to do this. Like you guys are idiots. We need to do this.
Well, actually, just to draw a parallel right here, Sorry to Bother You, which is the best movie I've seen in 2018 by Boots Riley, who is the truth. I fuck with Boots. He says something. One of the characters says something that I think encapsulates currently what's going on in America, where the guy said basically what happens in this is a logical extension of what might follow when it comes to here in reality, where there's a company called Worry Free, where you're, in all intents and purposes, a slave of the company. You live on the premise. You work. It's called a lifetime career, so you work for them forever. All this manipulative language, so it doesn't quite mean a slave, but you are a slave for all intents and purposes. And so anyways, these workers go through this whole big ordeal, and then they kind of feel helpless. And what the guy says is that when you're presented with a problem and you don't see any solution, you know it's a problem. So this is a problem that needs to get solved, but no one's offering up an effective solution. And you don't know what to do. Even if you feel like you got the solution, you don't know where to go then to solve it. Like there's so many unanswered questions. Like, how do I pursue this? There's too much, bureaucracy, too much red tape. You feel helpless. And so I think a lot of people are outraged by certain things that they're seeing, but they don't know how then to react. And so I do think, like in general, when it comes to some people, like those people that are burning their Nikes, where I'm like, again, if you're that triggered, to quote Dave Chappelle, brittle ass spirit, you can't do anything that would make me want if I bought Nikes. And I just think it's hilarious too, where it's like, yeah, what do you want to be upset about Nike? Okay, you want to be upset because, again, their labor practices, unethical wages, sweatshops. Yeah, we could talk about that. Because an athlete, you don't like what he said for your sport. You didn't interrupt it at all. It's like, now you're brittle. You're going to do a pro. I'm like,
the memes
are
going wild too. Like, hey, just so you guys know, like, are you not going to wear Converse too? Like, Nike owns Converse. Like, Nike owns Hurley. Like, Nike owns like all these companies.
You ain't going to do shit. As to quote, what's the boy's name? The fighter, Conor McGregor, where he's like, you'll do fucking nothing. So I'm like, shut up, man. The same, like, if you do want to raise a grievance, which this is something I think an angle a lot of people aren't talking about, that Nike or these other big companies like Disney that have had questionable ethical practices in their longevity, now they're trying to take a moral high ground. It's in their financial interest. And that's what someone said, that Nike, when it comes to marketing, they have the latest, most cutting edge research when it comes to market dynamics, demographics, how people would respond. This will be a win for Nike because they calculated it as such. It's not like they're proudly standing behind an issue. Yeah. It's a faceless corporate entity. Nike means absolutely nothing. Yeah. And so they're jumping on top of that. If you want to be outraged at that concept of Nike trying to bandwagon onto this issue, yeah, I can see your point. Yeah. But again,
that's just, to me, that's just how it goes.
A player, it's like, come on, man. It's like the same idea. I see this all the time. I think some people get in ways certain issues, they get riled up too easily, and I think it ain't even your place. Like, is this even an issue? And I think also the larger point that I would want to make is that some of these, I don't want to say not relevant issues or not as important, but they sidestep real issues. Like, so we could talk about poverty. We could talk about the amount of children that go to school across, North America or just the world in general that don't have access to either proper education or, for instance, a good example is Flint, Michigan, where they don't have clean water for the community. I'm like, that's a real issue.
There are like 30 people being shot every weekend in Chicago.
Let's talk about things that are directly impacting individuals, right? Or again, if we want to talk about corporate monopolies that are using our private information without our knowledge, a la Facebook, that's something that concerns me. I like to talk about that too. And so I see big issues are sidestepped, I think, intensely by either the media or there's people behind the scenes.
It's definitely a machine.
Or orchestrating things. So we talk about this where I'm like, who fucking cares? Like, Colin, you want to do, in my opinion, do your thing. I don't give a shit. In fact, if you want to raise awareness for something you believe in, that takes guts,
Yeah, that's true. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin, fucking Texas.
Yeah.
Give us a rating and review. Mama's Boys Podcast, iTunes, Spotify. You know it, every Tuesday and Friday. Again, we will have some dope guests coming up.
And and last thing I guess I want to say is, moving forward, we'll be slightly more opinionated. We try and see all sides, as someone said famously, many sides, a lot of good people. But I think it's fine to disagree with someone. So if we state an opinion, you're like, what the fuck, fuck Colin Kaepernick, man. Fuck that motherfucker. I'm like, hey, you know what? Hey, that's your opinion. That's fucking great. Good for you. Okay, yeah. I just stated my opinion.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. I think humans have to be used to someone having a different opinion than them. And disagreeing.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to affect a friendship. It doesn't have to affect a business. It's not that big of a deal.
As long as there's no real world consequences. Like if your opinion was, I want to kill everyone. It's like, oh, okay, well that's not just an opinion. That's something that could threaten people. It's like, this is irrelevant. Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself.
Cheers.
BDE for everyone out there, right? Just think.
What about
BDE.
the ladies? BDE.
BDE.
BDE, ladies.
BPE.
BPE.
Yeah.
Oh, big pussy.
I
don't know if that's a good.
TPE.
Tiny pussy.
Tight.
Oh,
I don't know. Ladies. I mean,
that's rude.
Tweet us. No, I mean, you tell me. I'm not trying to speak for you.
Yeah, speak to us, ladies. Hit us up on Instagram. Mama's Boys Podcast.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Catch you in the next one.